Hi everyone, my name is Tom. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe. I need all the help I can get. Today I'm going to break down my opinion and my experience with this new Sony Dualsense. I've only had this about a week, and the Nintendo Pro controller, and using that on Steam. And the problems I've had, just a few quirks, and what I think of each of them. And there isn't really a best here. They're both very good, is the short answer. I'm just going to tell you where they're both better at, because one of them is better at something than other. And there's a couple of games here that one of them's a bit quirky with, which is quite annoying, but I'll get into that later in the video. The first thing I'm going to start off with is that Windows 10 does support them, which is great. They're both high quality, expensive controllers. I started playing Splatoon about 12 months ago, and I got the first feel of motion controls. Really got into it. I put about 400 odd hours into Splatoon. Really good game. Haven't played it in a long time now, but moved on to PC and enjoying the gyro aiming, the gyro controls, motion controls, if you will. They're called all sorts really on PC with the Steam, because as soon as I realised you could connect the Nintendo Pro controller to Steam, it's really opened up my library of games, which is awesome. Now, the first thing I had, my old computer, not this one, there's another one, it had an M.2 built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth card. That, by far, was the best Wi-Fi and Bluetooth signal I've ever had. However, Windows has a problem with that, and we'll go into that right now. Windows occasionally, I don't know if it will show it for us here, if I go to add Bluetooth device, if you look here, I've got an add extender from my PC, because my PC's got a Wi-Fi dongle and it's got a 2.5 gigahertz Wi-Fi thing for this. And I found that if you have them all together, and if I put the Wi-Fi at the back or anything, it starts interfering with the signal, because all the signal's coming from behind me anyway. So I found if I had an extender, put the Bluetooth right here in front of me, as if that's where the console would sit or something, I've never had a problem with input lag or anything like that. But when I did have the Bluetooth dongle behind the PC or on top next to the mouse or things like that, I found myself getting input lag and latency, and that was particularly with the Pro controller. Obviously, I've not tested the PS5, but I imagine it's exactly the same. But since having it right in front of me, never had any issues. So that's one thing. You've got to make sure you have a good Bluetooth signal. Now, of course, these do work wired, but I'm not here to talk about that, because they kind of work as intended, really. It's the Bluetooth that causes problems. Now, this is as it's working as it should. So what we're going to go and do, I'm just picking up the Pro controller, there's no preference here. What we'll do is hold down the sync button, it will look for it, and it should come up on there. Now, I like to lay it flat on the floor, on a flat surface, and then click it. And as you click it, it should sync up in Steam. It remembers all your settings and what you put on Steam. So if I put a different control setup for, say, Red Dead Redemption, here you go, it says loading my configuration. It saves it all, which is all very good. Something I noticed with Steam though, if you're offline, it doesn't necessarily save your controller profiles, and you might have to do that all again offline, which is kind of annoying, but kind of rare at the same time as well. Anyway, now I never use big picture mode. I guess that's subjective, but I don't do that. Now, in terms of, I think, what do we do here? It's desktop general controller settings. Now, I've got everything enabled. This is something, before any controller will work with Steam, you've got to come in here and tick these boxes. I mean, because I've got like Horizon Zero Dawn, and I've got like Gears 5, I've got the Xbox, and I've basically got everything selected, because the Nintendo controller kind of covers all those bases. Now, there was one thing, the Nintendo controller works straight off the bat. But one thing I found with this new PS5 controller is the dead zone on the joysticks was really high, and I was sitting there going, I've had cheap controllers that feel like that, and I was wondering what's going on there. But I think if we go into preferences, can we go into, is it calibrate? Yeah, here we go. Or even then the dead zone's quite big, so we can make, it doesn't feel like it's actually that left. When I got this, the dead zone was way too high, and I needed to adjust it. I'd say obviously knocking it down a notch should be here, should be fine. I mean, the Pro Controller, it feels really sensitive in every game, so I wouldn't say there is that much dead zone. It just... Now, one thing I wanted to talk about when it came to these two controllers is the gyro aiming, and I'm used to Splatoon 2's gyro aiming with the Nintendo controller, and it's very good. The default settings on the PS5 controller are a little bit different. The latency is way better on the PS5 controller, and that's the main reason I got it. But I'll use Red Dead here as an example. So if I go to controller configuration, and I've got it as mouse-like joystick on the gyro. I have it inverted because that's how it is on Nintendo, and now I play it inverted, so down is up, up is down. If we go to additional settings, and we come down here, now the default settings for the Pro Controller, other than the inverted I just said, I don't touch anything else. It's perfectly fine. It's just like it is on Nintendo, and as far as I'm concerned, it's great. It's nice and smooth, and I'll put it down, it is smooth, but it's just a little bit of input lag. It's not quite like using a mouse, whereas the PS5 is so like there's no input lag there. It feels like you're using a mouse. Anyway, the big difference I've found is there is a slight like the PS5 one is slower than the Nintendo gyro, and to get that to match, I've had to match it up to, so I don't know what the default is. Its default says it's 0.305. I know I've got it on 505, which is up here on under the X. It's around here. It will be 0.505, and that's the same for the minimum on Y as well. And I found that was a really good input, and that's what I'm playing with at the minute on like Rainbow Six and Red Dead Redemption Online. Anything else I haven't really tried it in yet. The main game with Apex Legends, this controller was the first, because Apex is one of my favorite games, and this is one of the reasons I got the controller for, was to see the haptic feedback and to see if there would be less input lag with the gyro, because particularly going up against some high fresh rate players on Apex Legends, I do find I can't keep up with it. I'm playing at 60 Hz, but it just feels like I'm running at literally half the speed they're running at, and I can't even... By the time I've lifted up and tried to aim at them, they're already circled around me and behind me. It's really kind of an odd feeling. Now, most of the time it feels very quick, very alert, but it's only these certain situations. And I wanted to see, basically, if with less input lag that I'd heard about, the Dualsense would be better. But long story short, the haptic feedback is so strong. It's very strong. It's very good. It feels great. But the haptic feedback is so strong that even on the default gyro settings, with them turned on Apex Legends, on a simple gun like the R301, let alone the 3030 repeater, the vibration is so strong it will shake the gyro. Fire here, great example. Love this gun. We'll put a red dot on it so I won't humiliate myself. But anyway, there's a big problem with this. So I like my motion controls, which means we can move and aim up and down with the controller. Works great on the Switch, but the haptic feedback is so strong in this controller that without even touching it, we will do a 360. The gyro is so messed up by the haptic feedback in this game for some reason that I can use gyro all day with the Pro Controller and it vibrates quite strong and you just don't feel it. But in this game, just this game, I'm left doing a very erratic aiming because of the motion controls are way too sensitive. I don't know what's going on, but it's broken as fuck. So you're having to fight and shaking the gyro, it shakes your aim, and so you not only have to compensate for the gun recoil, but you also then have to compensate for the gyro vibrating in the controller. And I haven't even tried playing with it because I can instantly tell I'm not going to be able to hit anybody. I was really quite pissed off at that. But that being said, Rainbow Six is really good with it. Rainbow Six, for some reason, even though the haptic feedback is still strong, it's not strong enough to affect the aiming. I think it does a little bit. you can see, like, for example, when like Dockerby's sending a phone signal and it's vibrating the controller like mad, you can see like on my screen the vibrating of my like cursor. But on the whole, I haven't felt it really give me any sort of disadvantage. And I've actually I've tried putting them back to back on Rainbow Six Siege. It's been my test game. I'll put some footage in, but I haven't really been able to put any difference between the two. I sometimes get maybe what is like a bit of a dropout or something with the PS5 controller. I don't really know, but it's very rare. I don't know what that is. I think that could just be me being so sensitive on the sticks and pushing up slightly that it just moves. But no, they're very close. They're very, very close. I think they're both very comfortable. They're both about the same weight. The only thing I've noticed is the battery on the Pro controller is very good. Almost, I would say, 24 hours good. But that's, I think, because the HD rumble is more like a phone rumble rather than the actual Sony controller. It only lasted me so far, I'd actually say, about 4 to 5 to 6 hours. And that's playing like some heavy racing games and maybe some like Rainbow Six. And it hasn't really lasted much longer than that. So I think that's because the haptic feedback is so strong, it's quite power hungry, and because I'm probably using the motion controls, and knowing my luck, it's probably listening to me 24/7, because I know it's got a microphone in it as well. Even though it's not turned on, it's probably still doing its job. And it's got a big blue LED on it. For some reason, my LED doesn't really work with Steam on my Pro controller. I know it's meant to. There's probably a setting I can have to turn it on, but it works with the CEMU driver, but it doesn't work with Steam for some reason. I don't know why that is. So most people might see the rig on. It does work, but it doesn't work here for some reason. I don't know why. That's kind of it, really. That's kind of what I wanted to say. It's basically that they're very, very, very similar. I'm actually really starting to prefer this new DualSense controller. I like how it feels. I played PlayStation 3 for years. I played Xbox 360 for years, and I would say this is very much like an Xbox 360 controller. It even feels like the same sort of smoothness. But it has the same problem the 360 controller had for me, and that's that in terms of competitive game, it can get quite sweaty, which is a real factor. Particularly Gears of War and games like that can get very sweaty. And I did find that this controller, it can get on the palms, it can get really bad. Like, you look at it and it might be just me and my big palms. I've got big palms on my hands. You know, I mean, I can cover like the whole control of my hand, and it sort of sits in my hand like that, so it kind of gives you an idea. I like the big buttons on the Pro controller. The joysticks are big, which I like. The D-pad's okay, takes a long time to wear in. You've got just button triggers and bumpers, and basically the Pro controller, if I was to recommend, I would still recommend the Pro controller, just because it does everything. The PS5 controller just downfalls for games like, as I said, Apex, where if I was to enjoy it the way I want to enjoy it, I'd have to turn off vibration, and in my opinion, that defeats the whole point of me getting this controller in the first place. So I'd still say the Pro controller, because it's been designed with Splatoon and things, is still the better shooter controller, and I think you're going to learn gyro controls with the Pro controller. This gyro is so slow on the Sony. I don't know if you would learn gyro so well on this, because it's very slow. It's just how it was on the PS3. I've not had a PS4, I've not had a PS5, but I had a PS3 and I used the motion controls a bit in that, and they feel kind of exactly the same, if I'm honest. They're obviously a lot more sensitive than that, but in terms of how responsive they are, they're not that responsive. Nothing compared to the Pro controller. I mean, you can see it here on screen. I'm very little movement, and we're doing a lot. I mean, shall we go into a game? That might be the best footage. Let's go into a game. Let's go and do some training in Rainbow Six. I used to didn't like this game because the people that play it are really good. Like, really, really good. And I'll show you also how easy it is to switch from one controller to the other while we're in a game as well, because it is very easy. Which I do like. Not all games can do it, but generally speaking, we can reconnect. Now, my old M.2 Bluetooth, I could turn off the controller and I could just come up, press A, it would start trying to search and sync for it, and it would sync, it would go up, it would come up, it would be great. For some reason with this dongle, I can't do that, annoyingly. I don't really know why. Oh, you'll get to hear my sound system. Most people won't get to hear my sound system, so if you watch my channel, watch my videos, well, this is what I'm actually listening to. Well, it gives a good representation of it anyway. I fucking love it. What are we doing? Disarm the bomber, attacking, good. So I'll just show you with the Pro Controller first. And I'd actually say, I've come to this conclusion, I did this the other night, I bounced back and forth between the two in training, just to see how I feel between the two. And they're both so similar. So similar. The one thing that, say, the Pro Controller's got for it, is that if I'm moving with the left stick and I need the D-pad, I can come across here, and this is a big thing, by the way, in competitive games. I can come over with my thumb, just quite slightly, and push what I need. Whereas the Dualsense, I need to take my hand off, and I need to come round at the top of here, and that's a bigger movement. And I've noticed that in what is it, Red Dead Online, which I've been playing quite a lot recently. Well, I'm not very good with Dokkaebi. I don't know if that's how you say her name, bless her. She's one of my favourites though, but I really don't do very well. I try. I really try. I've only just started with a different field of view. Hey, you got the kind of thing on. So the thing I like about this is it feels like the Pro Controller's got a little bit more joystick travel than the DualSense. And they're definitely a stiffer joystick, that's for sure. They feel well notchier, but they're so sensitive. Like the tiniest little input, even though we saw that dead zone before, the tiniest input will work on the Pro Controller, and I've been so used to that. Now to show you the essential on the gyro here, literally, I've got it so it's quite relative to the game, and that's kind of how Splatoon is at kind of high settings. And this is just, as I said, this is default settings. So the thing that really changes it is your in-game settings. That can be what really changes it. So we've got it on, I think it's an odd number on both of them. We've got it on 2732 for the joystick, and I think that's kind of what the game uses as well. Now, you can't actually play Rainbow Six without gyro controls, I'll be honest, because there's a setup in the game to use, we'll get it out, if we press down, oh, we've not got it. There we go, press the left, right, left, press right on the D-pad. We get this drone. This drone, for whatever reason, won't work with, it'll use the left stick, fine, but it won't work with the right stick to aim, so you need to have the gyro. And this in itself is a great little mini game. If you're new to gyro, this in itself will help you learn the motion controls. Now I'm sure there's quite a few people that actually do this. But let's see if we can just go around the map here. Just showing you here. I don't know if you can get it on camera, but I've been very used to this now, and so I end up doing some really. So let's go downstairs. Let's usually ends up in a weird one. But you end up sometimes doing some really. It's almost like you're steering in Mario Kart. You know what I mean? I've not really played Mario Kart like that, but that's kind of where it ends up. So there's a lot of people down this back hallway. I don't actually normally use the drone, but I guess this is a good way of showing it off. So let's put that. I can't guarantee I'm going to do this, by the way, because I'm not very good. So we might kill a few people, but not many people. So we know they're all down this hallway. It's always nice when you can take a few of them out. Now, unfortunately, even though you're more accurate with the gyro, you're still, I'm afraid, nowhere near as quick as keyboard and mouse. I can try, and I can be close. Sometimes it can be a bit quirkier. But yeah, for sure, I've still been getting my ass kicked by PC players. So don't expect it, oh, I'll start kicking keyboard and mouse, because that is not the challenge. Now, if you use the appropriate tactics, maybe you might do well, but, oi. Oh. Notice they always come in at the same time. No. Run. Where is he? Oh shit. No! I told you. Alright, okay. Let's, so what I'll do here to change controllers, the game's still running, that's fine, is I just press the sync button on the back here and it will turn it off. Windows still remembers it, but it doesn't, at least with my dongle, it won't work again. Now most games will be like, oh, controller disconnected, it will default back to the mouse and keyboard. The reason I like using controllers on here is because I'm not really good at mouse and keyboard. I used to be years ago, but I'm sitting on the sofa, I'm chilling here, I don't want to have to play with mouse and keyboard, and I've tried it, I'm getting used to it, but I'll be honest, I prefer the vibration. I really like the gyro at the minute, so this is how I play, so we'll just deal with that in a minute. So we need to, if we press Windows button, it will come out, we go over to the settings, remove the device, remove the Pro controller. Now sometimes it might glitch and we might need to pull the dongle out, which is what I kind of wanted to show on film, but I don't think it's going to do it. So it's fine, it's nothing coming up. Anyway, so to sync the PS5 controller, we need to hold down this top left button, which I guess is select, and the PS button. Just hold them down together for about 5-6 seconds and it should start blinking like that. Now I don't know if it says this in the manual. I was a typical idiot and didn't read the manual, and so I just read online. I was like, how to sync PS5 controller with like Windows, and everyone kept telling me the wrong thing. People like saying this button down here and this button up here and holding X in the middle button, all this random shit. And you don't, that's how you do it. So I mean, I should have just looked at the bloody manual, but I don't really know. So we'll wait for retry. As I said, these controllers are extremely similar. It comes down to kind of preference really, or whatever you've got. If you've got a PS5 or if you've got I would say if you've got an Xbox controller, great. If it's wired, even better, great. But if you want to use motion controls, just go and get a Pro controller, because it's exactly the same. It is literally, I've been an Xbox gamer for years, even since the original Xbox, and had original PS2, had a GameCube, had a SNES, all the rest of it, because my brother and things like that. Trust me, the Pro controller shits on the Xbox controllers all day long. It's so good. It's so good. My favourite controller is still the 360 one, but yeah, really good. Now, saying that, I've played for years on the PS1, PS2, I had a PS3, I didn't have a PS4, but I've played a lot of PlayStation in my time, and I have liked their controllers, especially for racing games. And I've tried this controller in some racing games, and the haptic feedback is amazing. I've got a good video of that showing in Project Cars. So what shall we do again? Shall we show the camera? Let me show the camera with this one. It's pretty much as I said. So with the settings up, let's go. If I press start, we'll go back to Steam for a second, and I'll just show you my settings for the PS5 controller, because it's a bit. Oh, that's the wrong way to do it. What you have to do is you have to come over, and you'll only get the controller settings, the controller configuration, if you've got the controller connected. You won't get it if it's not connected. So I've got mouse like joystick. Click on that. And everything in here is default, apart from, again, inverted vertical axis. But if we go over, as I said, to additional settings, I've got the minimum joystick X output value on, instead of 0.305, at 0.505, and I've got that on both. And I tried a lot of different settings in this. This is the one, to me, just turning it up a little bit, that makes now the gyro in this feel like the Pro controller. If I'd actually argue, it makes it feel better. This is the big thing I've noticed with this. Now it feels to me more like I've got a mouse. It just feels ever so slight. There's less input lag. Obviously the rumble is a lot stronger. Hi friends. There's a lot of you in there. It's funny they don't shoot it. I've never really driven around with the bot. But yeah, I've noticed I don't end up turning the controller as much. I'd say in that respect it's a bit more accurate. The gyro does feel better, and as I said, it feels way less like input lag. And when I'm talking about input lag, I was thinking about it when I got it. It's so minimal. It's like, I'm like, oh my god, like 0.1 of a second. I'm not going to measure it. I'm not that geeky enough, but it's so minimal in the input lag. It's insane. And I've tried to be. Oh shit! I thought he was dead. I've tried thinking, like, is there a difference between the two? But I think it just comes down to what you prefer holding, and dare I say, the PS5 controller is definitely really nice. I really like it. I'd actually say it's my preferred controller now. It's definitely my favourite. But the Pro controller, I don't know if I can really say that just purely because Apex, I can't use it in because of the vibrating issue. And as I said, I'll show you that in the end. So we'll do this round, and then shall we plant it, Pooh? Come on. I can't usually defend it. It gets too overwhelming when they come and attack me in this. I can do some of the other missions, but these defending ones get a bit insane. There's a lot of them that come in, and they all come in at once, like pretty mad. Reload.
45 seconds.
Oh. Live action derping going on here. Ooh, yeah, there you go. Can't do it. Oh, brilliant. So there you go. It looks good. It looks really good. That's the main reason I wanted it. It is the input lag, and it achieves that. I was kind of disappointed because the gyro was different, but as I just showed you, the settings make it feel to me just like the Pro controller, and I've been having a blast with it. It's actually brought this game to life. The haptic feedback is really strong. The HD rumble, don't get me wrong, is good, but it's in going back to it now, I notice how weak it is. But that is, I think, the trade-off is that you've got sort of anywhere from 5 to 8 hours battery to like 24 hours battery. You know, and I will be honest, I don't really, I had this go flat on me after fully charging it when I first got it, almost on my like second gaming session with it, whereas I've never had this die on me. I think I've had this die on me once in like a year, and I've sometimes forgotten to charge it for like 2-3 days, and it still worked for like 3 or 4 hours, no problem, 2-3 hours, whatever. It does last. You can look it up. The Pro controller's got a really good battery in it. So anyway, I know I've done a lot of talk in this video. I hope it helps you out. If it does, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Bye bye.